My new album is on the way, so let's talk about my old ones. Welcome back to another episode of the Jimi Priceless Show, the weekly YouTube show hosted by me, Jimi Priceless. Shout out to everyone that's been watching. This is your first time. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. Share it. Um, but yeah, so it's official. The word is out. Album drops June 4th. It's called Die Laughing. Pre-order links will be up real soon. Cover art will be up real soon. Track list will be out real soon. But before we get to that, I thought for this album I would, rank my discography. So these are basically the albums that I released from 2018 to 2020. And the reason I, choose that as, being the albums that I, count as albums, because like obviously I've been releasing music for way longer than that, but just that's the oldest, like the oldest album is the album I dropped in 2018, and it's also the first. It's only been since 2018 that I've been putting music onto like the major streaming platforms. So therefore I count those as um like currently for this video as like the 6 albums that I'm gonna cover. So yeah, so in 6th place I would put Pie Bomb. This is an album I dropped in September of 2018, and the reason why I put it at like 6th or like last out of all of them is because I like the vibe of like Pie Bomb. Like the title came from this this infamous promo that CM Punk did when he left WWE, and to me at the time I felt the vibe of it, but it wasn't communicated like directly through the music or like the lyrics, but more so in the kind of songs I made on the album. So instead of me like taking Pie Bomb and like putting it in my own words and expressing that, it was me more kind of just loving it, I guess, by just making certain songs like Cash Out, which is a song I usually wouldn't have made, but like fuck it, I like the vibe of the summer to it. So because of that I feel there was no real solid thought that ran throughout the project. But so it's like only I know the concept of it really, and then whoever like checked out the album breakdowns for it. And then in 4th place I would put Zero Gravity Fall. That's the album I dropped last year March, and basically like for that album the theme in terms of the sound kind of kept through the album. It's called Zero Gravity Fall, so that all the spacey kind of pads and synths and stuff, and even with some of the song ideas. But just at the time when I made that album, like I didn't really have much to say. So there are like obviously there are songs on it that have like some real meaning, but for the most part it was more just this album that was kind of like me using my creativity and make this space themed kind of project. So it was more of like an artistic exercise than something that I felt. So that's why I'll put it at number 5. Then number 4 I'll put Return of the Thunder is a Lover, which was my my different album. Like this, like you had to like pick which was the odd one out of the albums. This would be the one. Because I basically just completely tried some different shit. It was a lot more like electronic kind of poppy, I guess. And the reason why I like it is that it was an intentional departure from the usual, and also before this album came out, the previous album was "Oh You Still Busy," which is like so like Jimi Priceless best album, blah blah blah. And for me to like say, okay, fuck that shit that everyone likes, let me just make something different, because I was planning to do it already before, but like to still stick to my guns, and do that completely different kind of style of music. That's why I can't put it lower than fourth. It's like, once again, like I mentioned in last week's episode about the artistic vision sometimes sabotaging the success, I guess, of the project. So yeah, like, it was really a challenge to do those kind of beats and to write those kind of songs, because it wasn't just like me out here just writing bars and shit. It was like I actually had to come up with like melodies for the vocals and build up the song and have bridges and all of these kind of things. So that's why I put it at number 4. It was just one of that, like, fuck everything, I believe in this, and I put my money where my mouth is, and that's what I did. Then third, I would put Frog, which was my the first album, the oldest album you will find on streaming platforms. Came out in March 2018. And I did feel like or like, looking back now, it is very much of an introductory kind of project. Just because it's very like focused on like rap and hip hop, which is like the style I've been doing the longest and the most. So I really felt that it's very cohesive. Like, of course, it's Jimi Priceless, so they all gonna be songs that is completely on some other song style and structure. But for the most part, I would say it's a rap album, and it's probably one of the most rap albums. If you look at the kind of songs that's on it. So the reason why I put it third and why it's so high is just because it's the oldest one, and even so, it still feels like really fresh to me. So I feel it stood the test of time better than the others, just because the others are only like 2 years old and 1 year old. So to me, the songs still stand up as really great songs, and that's why I put it at number 3. And then number 2, I'm gonna have to go with Always Still Buzzy. Now I know, all the Always Still Buzzy fans were like, how can this not be number 1? To me, obviously, it's a great album. It got me the best reception out of all my albums. Got me more fans than all my other albums did. Got me more attention than all my other albums did. But just to me, a lot of it was, not. It's almost like I don't feel I did it, in a sense, because like a lot of the decisions were not like intentional. So like, for the most part, I was just in my fields. I wrote the songs, and that was it. Like, there weren't many artistic decisions that were made from a place where I was like, let me see what I'm gonna do with this. I was just like, I just feel like this. Here's the album, and then it turned out to be, received so well. So I think a lot of the people's like connection with it was more from an emotional space, just because of the songs on some heartbreak vibes, which is something everyone relates to. And to me, it wasn't as impressive, from a musical and technical standpoint, just because I made it, so I know what I'm capable of. And to me, this was like so easy to make. So that's why, I couldn't put it as my personal number 1. But for number 1, that leaves my latest album, came out September last year, Legion. And for me, that's my number 1 just because it has everything, like it was intentional. I had an intent with what I wanted to do. I executed on those intentions the way I wanted, and I left nothing, because normally I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna do this and see what happens. But Legion was like the first album where it's like, nah, I'm gonna do this like this, and I'm gonna make sure it happens like this. There was nothing like, oh, let's see what happens. There was no element of randomness. Everything was like, or 90% of the things were like, this sounds how it's supposed to sound, because I wanted it to sound that way. And just like I said, that everything, because even in terms of keeping a solid theme, I was able to do that throughout the songs. I was able to do that, I feel, throughout the sounds that I used. It had rap songs on it. It had auto-tune songs on it. It had, these real kind of ideas that I never executed on. Because like some of the beats that I made for Legion was started when I made like the beats for Return of the Thunderous Lover and Zero Gravity 4. So, some of the song ideas on there came like a long way for me to finally decide like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and to get it from where it was in this real unsure place to where it's like, nah, I'll stick my neck out for the song because I worked on it. To me, it just shows growth as well, like just from a behind the scenes perspective. And like, I just feel it's the highest caliber Jimi Priceless, a lot more, like I said, it's a lot less random, it's a lot more intentional, a lot more like comfortable in my own skin creatively. And it really turned out the way I wanted it to turn out. So therefore it's my number one. But if you disagree, you can drop your rankings in the comments. Can let me know what you feel is your number one. I didn't get too in depth with like the rankings, just because I did do album breakdown for each of the albums, which you can find on my Castbox channel. And then I think the Brown Recluse episodes are on Spotify. So if I find the episodes, I'll drop them in the comments so you can check out the full breakdowns of these albums. Except Legion, which is I think on YouTube. I think that's the only place where you'll get the actual breakdown of the Legion album. So I'll drop that also. I'll either put it up here or I'll drop it in the comments. But yeah, that's my rankings of the Jimi Priceless discography. So just to recap, number 6 we got Pie Bomb. Number 5 we got Zero Gravity Fall. Number 4 Return of the Thunderous Lover. Number 3 Frog. Number 2 Are You Still Busy. And number 1 Legion. But that's just my opinion, that's just from the creator's point of view, But yeah, you can, like I said, let me know in the comments what your rankings are. But that's it for this video. That's it for this episode. Be sure to keep an eye out for the pre-order links and the pre-save links for Die Laughing. Album will be out June 4th. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.